about resumes, I think the key thing that I like to teach my students is that there are these evil necessities. I try not to use the word evil, but they're this necessity for most of your life, that resumes are not just an assignment that teachers are going to be teaching. You know, it's not one of those, another worksheet, another resume I have to do for some grade in my class. We really need to change the mindset to students that resumes are this document that's going to go with you the rest of your life. And then just basic stuff that we tend to forget to teach our kids, that you need to list items that are related to the position desired. And I'm going to give you an example about in that in just a few minutes about soft skills. You want to match that job description. So we tend to tell students that you create a resume and it's one resume and that's the resume you use, but that's not true. Your resume needs to change with every single job you apply for. Maybe you only change a small part of your resume, but you're changing every resume for every single job you apply for. And again, this is going to stay with you. So things like telling your kids to make sure they save their resume and their cover letter outside of their school accounts. So for example, my students all have a Google account with a student ID. When they graduate, that account gets shut off. So I tell my students, make sure you are taking your resume and cover letter, those electronic documents, and putting them somewhere where you can have access to them the rest of your life. And then you're constantly updating it. You know, most of us know not to use I statements, but our students don't know that. So even if they're using a resume template, they tend to type in the words, I did this, or I graduate now. I just edited a student's resume yesterday and she had it was a beautiful resume. She did such a great job, but she had I statements throughout the whole thing. Capitalization is a big problem for our students, and grammar, of course, we all know this, but especially capitalization because they're so used to texting. So you have to show them examples of what proper capitalization is. And I know we may have some English teachers here, but that's when you sort of, you know, cross over to the world of teaching English grammar to our students again. And they don't know what is appropriate to capitalize. They don't know that you capitalize PO box or, you know, PO, for example. And then consistent formatting. These are my little pet peeves. You know, if you're going to say Washington and you're going to abbreviate it and then later you spell it out, make sure students are being consistent. And, you know, that's just sort of basic formatting things. There's a lot of sort of buzzwords out there on what we call a functional resume. Many of you have heard this is the new thing, a functional resume. And what a functional resume does, all it is focusing on skills and abilities rather than work history. Because really the goal of that resume is to show that you can carry out whatever duties of the job is being advertised. So really a functional resume is more about bulleted items and less about paragraphs and long explanations. You really want bulleted items. Functional resumes are best for students because they don't have a lot of experience. And so to kind of fill that page, if you have more bullet items and you're listing more skills than work experience, it works better for our students to have functional resumes. And a functional resume, I don't know if you guys can see this very well on your screen, but it looks like this. A lot of bullets on what their skills are. Bullets that describe what they did in their jobs, or if they had volunteer experience, what tasks did they do? What experience did they get from that job? And, you know, so less about long explanations about what they did. I like to have one sentence. So for example, in this example, it says hostess, waitress, serve as a hostess and waitstaff for this iconic upscale restaurant which specializes in Northwest cuisine. Major responsibilities include, and then you just bullet that out. So it's a short description about where I worked, and then a list of bullets of what I did. And that's really important for kids. It really helps them create a resume that will get them hired. Hard skills, of course, we all sort of know what hard skills are. Those are things that you can measure. I always say they're things that can be teachable. They're measurable. How to cut hair, how fast can you type, how to use software programs. In high school, we want to make sure our kids are including those hard skills that they get in high school, like software. So even if they're not CTE in a CTE pathway in high school, they probably all have taken some technology classes, and they know how to use Word and Excel and PowerPoint. Those are hard skills that need to be on their resume. Many of our students speak multiple languages. Those are hard skills. Those need to be listed on their resume. A lot of our kids have volunteered at the concession stand, for example, and that is equipment, that they have used, the cash register, hard skills. A lot of our kids have hard skills, but they're thinking they have to be super high-end hard skills, like, I can program in Python or write code, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be simple stuff like I speak multiple languages. And then, of course, soft skills, and we all probably know about soft skills. These are things that enhance your job performance in career prospects. They're not taught in school. They're sort of hard to define, and they're really applicable to most jobs out there. Sometimes we call them personal attributes or interpersonal abilities. The key is to match those soft skills to your resume. And I literally tell students to almost cut and paste, as long as it's not lying, as long as it's not exaggerating, to cut and paste those soft skills on a job posting into their resume. So for example, I just pulled up earlier today, I was looking and I pulled up a job on Indeed. And let's just go back to the veterinary tech job. I always default to veterinary techs, even though I never would want to be a vet tech, but I like animals, so there you go. So if you scroll through the job description for this licensed vet tech in Lake Stevens Animal Hospital that pays $16 to $20 an hour, by the way, in the description, there are soft skills that are listed, like ability to comfort, handle, let's see, let me find another one. Detailed, oriented, and well organized. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll try to make this a little bit larger for you. Skills, they want proven experience, but they also want excellent communication skills, patient and caring personality, ability to follow instructions, ability to multitask. Those things need to be on their resume if they are applicable to them, if they are truly someone who has good communication skills. Most of our kids have these soft skills. Those need to go on the resume, and that goes to customizing the resume, and you have to pound that into their head because they think they just create one resume and they never have to update it. But this is an example of where you need to update your resume to fit the job description. And then, of course, you would also do that for any hard skills. By the way, LinkedIn, they do this like every year. They sort of scan all their job posting things out there, and they look for the top 5 soft skills: creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, emotional intelligence. And of course, there's other words that can define those things, like persuasion could also mean selling. Collaboration could also mean works well with others, things like that. So right now, these are some of the top 5 soft skills out there. And then there are hard skills that are listed as well. These are, of course, things that you learn, like blockchain, cloud computing, UX design, things like that. And I did share this link for this website as well. So people always ask, what is blockchain? Blockchain is the software that runs cryptocurrency, if I'm correct. So objectives on your resume, yes or no? And the answer is no. Don't waste the space. Come on, people. It's so outdated. And it kind of is self-centered in my eye. What do you replace it with? Replace it with the skills and abilities. Don't waste the space to put an objective that nobody really cares about. Instead, your employer or potential employer is going to be way more impressed with skills and abilities. A summary statement could be used, but I tend to say only a summary statement on your resume if you don't have a cover letter, because I would actually save that for the cover letter. Again, use the skills and abilities instead of an objective. It is not necessary, especially when you're creating a one-page resume.